Alrighty, so recently Jeff put out a video showing some people that he found on the CBI website a nice graphic. This video sent shockwaves throughout the dinar community. And after I took a look at it, I told Jeff that I thought he was looking at it wrong. That what he was looking at was actually how much money was actually being in the millions is what it was replacing damaged dollars. So I'm talking to my friend about it, and this is I want to say a shout out to Professor Westbrook. I appreciate all your help because when me and him went over this, he said actually your friend Jeff's right. So Jeff, my apologies. We're going to go ahead and make a correction on this huge misunderstanding of what we're interpreting on the CBI website. All right. So first, let me start off by apologizing to Jeff. Jeff, you kind of had it all. You had it almost right. Let me show what I'm talking about. So what we know is this. First of all, we have what's called an MO report. Everybody knows that the M0 is what it is. The M0 report tells you the amount of currency that is in circulation, okay? But it's not just the currency. Here's the thing that he pointed out to me. He said it's not just the currency that's in circulation. He said it's the currency plus other assets. So this isn't just the money. This is a combination of the currency, the Iraqi dinar, and assets. So that's not even a real money supply right there, okay? So this one was just updated on January 2020, 76 trillion dinars, not dollars, dinars, and that's a combination of assets and money. So let's get rid of this. If you go to the CBI website, they do have an MO report. There it is, the M0. I'm sorry, M0. It was last updated. It's current all the time. If you look on there, the M0 report matches what the other M0 report says. So there's 74 trillion dinars out there in a combination of assets as well as the dinars themselves. So I said, is there a way to find out how much money is actually out there? So Jeff, you actually had it right. This is almost, let me show you what I'm talking about. This is the currency issued by the CBI Bank. You can see as of right here in October, until something happened and it dropped down. But right here in October, you can see that there's 50 trillion actual dinars that were issued from the CBI Bank. All right, so there's 50 trillion dinars that were generated or issued by the Central Bank of Iraq. Now I said, oh, okay, so is that how much is actually out there? Is there 50 trillion dinars out there? He said, what you would need to know, because this is just the amount that was issued, if you can find a way, they have also what's known as a destruction report, or whenever dollars get damaged, they keep track of them. He says, so if you want to know how much is actually out there, it's the currencies issued by the CBI minus any damaged bills that are out there. So that would give you a more accurate number. But if you just wanted to, for the sake of this conversation, say that there's not 76 trillion dinars out there in circulation, there are technically somewhere around 50 trillion dinars in circulation. And then he showed me some other fun things on these charts. He says, so here you see it. There it is. The Central Bank of Iraq, as of October here, has issued approximately 50 trillion dinars. Okay, that's different than the MO report, which also includes assets. This is just the amount of the currency that's in circulation. This does not also take in consideration any dinars that were damaged or removed out of circulation for one reason or another, okay? So keep that in mind. But we're just, for the sake of this, we're going to say there's 50 trillion dinars, okay? This next graph shows you, it's called currency with commercial banks. This is it. This is what he feels this is. The currencies in commercial banks, this is the currency in Iraq. He's saying there's approximately 5 trillion dinars in Iraq. And then if you come over here, you have currencies outside banks. So currency outside of Iraq is 45 trillion. So if you take the 5 trillion that's in country, the 45 trillion that is out of country, all right, that equals the actual money issued, which is the 50 trillion. Okay. So we're talking about 50 trillion out there of dinar. Okay. Now keep in mind that on the last video, I showed you that the United States took in 7.5 trillion dinars and gave Iraq $5 billion for it. And they opened up an account that paid them approximately $100 million per year in interest. So we know of this 50, or I should say 45 trillion that's outside of Iraq, we know that the United States is holding at least 7.5 trillion. All right. Also, there, and I'll find out where it is. I seen a report that India also is holding. Now, I could have swore I seen it say somewhere in the neighborhood of 11 to 15 trillion. Now, don't quote me on that. It's sometimes I come across articles, and at the time I'm reading this stuff, it really doesn't have anything to do with what I'm looking for. And then later on, a month or two, I'll realize that, hey, that information is important, and then I have to scurry through and look for it. All right. So 7.5 trillion in the United States, that's a very, that is the least amount we know that's there. I know there was a lot of talk that there's 4 or 5 trillion, but it's 7.5 trillion. All right. But I've actually heard, again, this is just rumors now, that actually the United States is holding 20 trillion. That 7.5 was a one-time transaction, but there's actually more. But, you know, without being able to prove it, I did prove it in the last video. The United States is at least holding 7.5 trillion dinars. I know in country there's 5 trillion dinars. In India, let's just say on the safe side, is holding 5 trillion themselves. So between the three entities alone, the three, India, Iraq, and the United States, you're looking at 17.5 trillion of the 50 trillion outstanding. So when people go, oh, there's 76 trillion, or how can they do the rate? Well, again, my theory is that the most of the money, most of the dinar is actually being held in banks or other financial institutions, all right? For one reason or another, I haven't figured it out, but I will figure it out. They're being held in these institutions for whatever reason, and that the amount of dinar that's actually in the open market is actually lower than people think. On my last video, I showed you at one time, Iraq was using $1 to $1.5 billion per month of their oil revenue to buy the dinars off the open market. So that's what we showed. They were removing what was out there in the hands of the public. They were reducing the amount in the hands of the public or in the open market. Okay. So I showed that they were doing, I showed you articles proving that. Okay. So again, this is out of Iraq, 45 trillion. This is in Iraq, which is 5 trillion. Now, ironically, that one chart that showed you what was in circulation, let me get to it again real quick. What was in circulation, or what was issued, we saw this graph. Excuse the delay here. Now we saw something interesting. Here's something funny. So at this time here, you see what is issued by the bank drops down. It's obviously some kind of glitch. And then here it goes up the same amount. So unless something dramatically happened in which Iraq somehow brought back $45 trillion in country, and I doubt that's what happened. This is more likely some kind of glitch. Now, what else could have happened and has not been announced yet? Is it possible they did the deletion of the zeros? I'm just throwing that out there because you can see the amount of money in country is actually increased by the same amount of currency that went down. I'm just kidding. That's not what happened. I'm just messing with you. All right. Because that shit will spread to the dinar community like wildfire. All right. So anyways, look at, there's obviously some kind of glitch, and the two actually are the same exact amount. So the amount that was issued by Iraq central bank right here went from somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 trillion and dropped down to 5 trillion. At the same token, in country, it went from holding 5 trillion and increased up to $51 trillion. So there's obviously some kind of glitch in these two charts play off one another is what it is. Now also in here we find that they do have the current market value of the Iraqi dinar, which currently sits at, you guessed it, for 1,201 Iraqi dinars for every one US dollar. Okay, so again, I want to bring this up. I looked at this with Jeff. I just told him that, hey, look, this says currencies issued. I took a reach for it and said that, hey, this is just replacing the damaged dollars. So Jeff, you were half right on that one. It is the amount of currency that is out there. And although it did show a huge drop, that can't be accurate. There's something wrong there. Okay, so I wanted to apologize to Jeff, but also show you guys, if you go to the CBI website, there is all kinds of different information on here. So what do we really want to know? What we really want to know is you could take the amount of currency that was issued, all right? Like Professor Westbrook said, and that is this. You take the amount that's issued, okay, it's 50 trillion, okay. And what you want to try to do is go through here and find anywhere where it shows the amount of currency that was taken out of circulation for one reason or another. Then, so you take the amount of currency issued, subtract the amount that was taken out of circulation, and that will give you kind of an idea of what's really out there. Also, again, keep in mind that my theory is that the financial institutions are holding, or financial entities are holding, the largest portion of the dinars, not the public, not the open market. Again, I showed you an article in my last video showing you that Iraq was feverishly removing dinars off the open market. They were buying it. I showed you the article that said they were spending $1 to $1.5 billion per month of their oil revenues to buy them off the open market, reducing the amount that's in the hands of the public. But I told you, I also saw parts of the minutes meeting that they were saying that it got as high as $4 to $5 billion per month removing the dinar off the open market. It just depended on oil production and the amount per barrel at the time. So it varied. But for the most part, that's a lot of money they were using to buy the dinar off the open market. So here's the real question. We know that there's $50 trillion that has been issued by the Iraqi bank. If you subtract how much has been taken out of circulation, if we can find out what that number is, then we know how much is actually out there in circulation. Take in consideration that most of the financial entities are holding on to large portions of the dinar, leaving very little, I believe. I think it's probably in the billions. So in open market, in the hands of the public. If that's the case, then yeah, Iraq can actually do a rate of, and I showed you what they talked about, and I confirmed it. I went and showed you that the minutes from that meeting said that the IMF and the CBI were suggesting that the rate be around 120 or $1.20, but the financial ministry and the government of Iraq was wanting to reinstate the $3.20, and they were making a case for why, and the CBI was making a case for why that's not going to happen. Okay, so if at one time we were saying there were 76 trillion dinars out there, they couldn't do it at that rate. How? Even at 50 trillion, it'd be a real stretch. So my guess is they took as much as possible out of the hands of the public, off the open market. These financial entities are actually holding on to the vast majority of it. This is with some kind of agreement for whatever reason. I'll do a little more research to see if I can figure out why. With the agreement that they wouldn't try to all rush in and exchange at the same time, allowing Iraq to rebuild, allowing them to go ahead and honor any kind of exchange rate to the public, and just to get the money out of the public's hand and really strengthen the Iraqi dinar dollar. All right. So again, just in closing, Jeff, my bad. You had it right to a certain degree. That is the money supply. That's actually the amount that was generated. Um, so I just wanted to make this quick video, straightening up a couple of things, and just let you know. Look, if you guys got time, you should come over here. There's all kinds of goodies on here to take a look at, and it's a lot of these things will help you get a more clear picture about what is really going on with the Iraqi dinar. All right, everybody, have a good day. Bye bye.